get off the boat eventually, everything full pack and all the rest of it, and we march off. Oh, it must have been about 4 or 5 miles uphill. It was murder. And then when we got there, it was under canvas. The tents were, and I'm sure they were that deep inside the tents in mud. Woodbines were 6pence a packet. To what soldiers? Of course we were there for a few days, but we were all playing out to get on a draft. It was that horrible there. The food was awful, the bloody place was awful, you know. We're all clamouring to go on a draft up to front. We're clamouring, we're asking and begging to go on a draft up to front.
Pack up your troubles in your old kit bag.
I got up at dawn in the morning. I was acting adjutant of my battalion on the morning of the 1st of July, and I went up to take to my command post in the trenches, from which we could see over the country between Gommecourt and Serre. And when I got there, here were messages coming in from the front companies to say that they were all in order and that everything was right. We tested our lines back to the artillery, and I can only say that I have never been so excited in my life. This was like a boy going to the play for the first time in his life. And this is indeed what it was. And the noise rose to a crescendo such as I'd never heard before, for which we, for the first time, used the word drumfire, which is a great description. A noise which made all bombardments that we'd heard in the previous days seem like nothing at all. And the effect of the bombardment created a sort of hysterical feeling. And at 0, I sent back a message to brigade headquarters to say that we were all ready and were going to deliver our smoke cloud. And then at the moment we could see the outburst of smoke and gas from our front line blowing in the right direction towards the Germans. And then somebody shouted, "There they go!" And I looked over to the left, and here were the London Scottish, who were on our left, running forward across the 300 or 400 yards of green grass between our village and Gommecourt Wood. And then they vanished into the smoke, and then there was nothing left but noise. And after this, we saw nothing, and we knew nothing, and we lived in a world of noise, and simply noise, for hours. Through the long period of fixed trench warfare, our world was divided by a sort of iron curtain, by no man's land, beyond which was a world into which we could never penetrate, about which we knew nothing, which was inhabited by bogeymen, people who would kill you if they ever saw you. And on our side of the line, our world was quite different. On our side, everyone a friend. On that side, everybody something terrifying. Almost unreal.
If you want to find the Sergeant Major, I know where he is. I know where he is.
As the days wore by and we got nearer and nearer to the 0 hour of the Somme offensive, the bombardment increased. It was a sort of crescendo. And our patrols got closer and closer. We kept really a steady patrol all day to see what was happening. On the morning of July the 1st, when the 0 hour was to come, I was on the first patrol on the northern part of the salient from Pozières down to Fricourt. And at Pozières, I'd taken the engineer up for weeks before. They'd been put down 2 enormous mines right in the salient on the front line, hoping to clear the whole of the front line with this enormous burst. And so this, of course, was what we were looking for. And really, it was a fantastic sight, because when the Hurricane bombardment started, every gun we had, and there were thousands of them, had all been let loose at once, you know, and the thing was a wild, I mean, you could hear the roar of the guns above the noise of the aircraft, almost like wind like rain on a pane, you know. Extraordinary, this roll of thousands of guns at the same time. And then came at last, 8 o'clock, and we were looking, of course, at the Boisselle salient. And then suddenly the whole earth heaved, and up from the ground came what really looked more like 2 enormous cypress trees, the silhouettes of great dark, cone-shaped lifts of earth up to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 feet. And we watched this, and then a moment later, of course, we struck the repercussion wave of the blast, and it flung us right away backwards over on one side, away from the blast. And then a second later came up the second one. And then after that, we thought, well, now we know that's the beginning. The infantry should have moved forward on that. We had all our contact patrol technique perfected, and we went right down to 3,000 feet to see what was happening.
Mademoiselle from Armentières, parlez-vous.
As the war progressed and stunt followed stunt, it required that we should live in animal conditions, and in doing so, it was inevitable that we developed the animal characteristic of killing. And apart from the short feeling of nervousness as you knew that you were moving up to carry out another operation, there was a feeling of exultation that once again you were going to be able to extract retribution from the fellows that had killed your mates.
The shells were falling left, right, and center. On my left, there was one of our platoons, got a direct hit. The next shell was to the back, and I said, here goes, it's ours next. I was looking out in front, and to this day yet, I can remember seeing a 9.2 falling in front of me, about 20 yards. I saw the end of that shell going into the ground, and I just thought, we've had it. But after a pause, all eyes were turned round, and all we heard was a dud.
Well, the blast blew me out of that trench. I was just getting to my feet, you know, as you go down, it blew me out of that trench. I bruised my hip on the edge of the trench as I fell out, I think. And I landed about, 2 or 3 bays away. Well, they'd both dropped, these 2 officers in front. Well, I started to say, are you all right? I said, yes. And so I started to walk on after them. No bones broken. And so I walked on a bit, and I felt this handle was wet. So I wiped it on my breeches. And I wiped it a second time on the breeches. Not that, God, it's blazing, so everything's dry as a bone. There was blood running off my hands. Oh, hell. So I just shouted up, I said, half a more, a helmet after all. So we sat down in a hall. I got a field dressing. You must have a field dressing in the corner of your tunic, you see. I didn't know then. I'd got one in here through my jaw, and one in the throat here, just missed the jugular with an 8th, and another one in the back. I stuck 4 pieces out, and I never felt him. You feel it afterwards, but just at the moment, you didn't feel anything at all.
So after I found that it was officially known that he had been killed, I used to pass my time away trying to make little baby clothes for my baby. And eventually, the baby became to be born. It was born at home, but I don't remember it being born at all. I had a very bad time. I had 2 doctors, and I don't remember the baby being born. And I felt I didn't want to live. I had no wish to live at all, because the world had come to an end. And for me, because I'd lost all that I'd loved, you see, there was no need for me to live, sort of thing. But anyway, the doctors said I had to go away, and they sent me to G Cross Hospital. It was a fever hospital at the time, and I was in there 6 weeks. And then I came back home, and they took my baby with me when they took me. And I remember the first time I ever saw the little baby, it was in a little clothes basket, because they had no children's ward there. It was in a little clothes basket, and I thought that never was my baby, because it was such a little tiny thing, just like a rabbit.
They were summoned from the hillside, they were called in from the glen, and the country found them ready at the sterling call for men. Let no tears add to their hardship as the soldiers pass along, And although your heart is breaking, make it sing this cheery song. Keep the home fires burning while your hearts are yearning, though the lads are far